Hello, everyone. I'm Mickey Duzdovich, and welcome to SBIFF Film Talk. Today's film, we are going to be discussing Pie Lady of Pie Town. Here's the trailer.
In Pie Town, New Mexico, the Pioneer Pie Shop is located between the stop sign and the gas station, down the street from the motel and within walking distance to a church. The Pioneer is where Kathy Knapp makes pies, and Kathy Knapp is the Pie Lady of Pie Town.
I'm gonna take that highway, that old US Highway 60 out beyond the big array.
It's gonna be so nice when I find my slice of life. Take my advice and follow me to Pie Town.
All right.
Pie Town was, I thought, was a joke.
People drive a long way out of their way to come to Pie Town.
What's a special bit of what's left of the American West?
I just usually tell them it's a wide spot in the road.
I think when people find a little roadhouse like this, it adds to their experience on a vacation that you can't get in a sterile food chain. No one here is here for the money. We're here for the quality of life and the pie.
I think this woman makes every pie with love. And I think we feel it.
Pie is something you put together with a few ingredients and a desire to please. And when you set it down in front of people and they enjoy it, you've given them something. You've given them a part of yourself.
Oh, won't you come?
Won't you come?
Won't you come, come? Won't you come along with me to Pie Town? But you'd better make it hasty, 'cause those pies are awful tasty. Get some flaky, crusty pastry in Pie Town. But you'd better make it hasty, 'cause those pies are awful tasty. Get some flaky, crusty pastry in Pie Town.
And joining us today is director Jane Rosemont and the Pie Lady herself, Kathy Knapp. Welcome.
Hey, that was a fun trip back to sometime a long time ago.
So Jane, let's begin with you. So we understand how Kathy ended up in Pie Town, but can you tell us how you discovered this wonderful place to go for pie?
The first time, and I don't recall the year, perhaps 2008 or 2006 even, my husband and I were taking a road trip, literally just driving, wherever. And we stopped at Very Large Array because that's pretty amazing. And we saw a mileage chart, and then it said Pie Town, 40 miles. So I said to the woman, I said, so what's in Pie Town? And she looked at me like, she goes, pie? And so we thought, okay. So we drove, and it was very funny because at that time, and it's still not all that much different, there were only two pie places. So my husband, for some reason, thought we had to choose one. And I said, no, we start over there and we end up, and it was the Pioneer Pie Shop. So we're in the Pioneer Pie Shop, and Kathy's just talking to these other people, and we overhear her talking about ASCAP and BMI and playing music. And I thought, oh, I like this woman, but that was that. We talked. And then when I came back with a friend, Dewey, I fell in love with Kathy. I fell in love with her energy. I fell in love with what very little story I knew at that point. And I said flippantly, I should do a film, and I'd never done one. And Dewey said, oh yeah, you're going to do a film. And I went, okay. And that was it.
Wonderful.
And I asked you, and you went, okay.
So yeah, Kathy, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on when she came to you with this idea to do a film. Like, what were your thoughts going through your head? That why would somebody want to make a film? What were your thoughts?
Well, a lot of people come to Pie Town and say this would make a great movie. And I'm like, yeah, a B movie. But Jane, she was like, I think I could make a movie. And I'm looking at the hair and the person, and I'm going, you might be the one to do it. And she did. I was like, another person who thinks this is a great story, and it is a great story in and of its history, but Jane was able to see the whole picture of how my story could relate to a lot of people's decisions in life.
Mhm.
And she did it.
We
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, Jane, now that Kathy said that, it actually is very interesting that the way you break up the film and you tell it like a storybook with these chapters, but you use Kathy's story to tell you more about Pie Town than just her story. Can you talk a little bit about the decision of doing that?
Boy, I really did think that her story that I knew was very small. It would be a great little 10-minute story about Kathy. But the more I got to know her, and the more often I went to Pie Town, I realized this isn't just about Kathy. Kathy is reaping the benefits of a really rich history here. And I worked hard on that, and I don't remember the process exactly, except that you eat, sleep, and drink a film. You wake up in the middle of the night, you make notes. And I really did want her to be the thread for, it is about Kathy. It's about her mother, really, and it's about pie equals love. It's about love. It's about new beginnings. So I structured that. And I'm glad you said that, Mickey, because somebody in the industry saw the film when it was Academy Award qualified, not nominated. And he said he liked everything but the titles. And I didn't even really feel bad about that because I really, really liked the titles. I really think that helped bridge the story. It was like a story.
Yeah, it plays like a storybook, which makes it very fascinating, and it brings the charm to the film itself. And I actually want to talk a little bit about how this town is so charming. And Kathy, you can talk a little bit on this since you are a resident there and have been there for so many years. How the town is charming, and then how that was able to be shown through images on screen like this.
Well, Sean, I think when I first stumbled upon Pie Town with my family on a road trip, I was like, how do people live here? It's dusty, tumbleweed, nothing going on. And a couple little businesses like a post office and a cafe, and everything was closed. And the romance of the past, it just seeps up through the dirt, and you get the feeling of the homesteaders, the Great Depression, and the people going to California went right on that road, and they stopped and they camped on the side of that road, and little organic towns just started. And it fascinated me as a photographer because I wanted to capture all the incredible black and whites, the puffy white clouds, I was just like in my element, never imagining being there. But my mother, who had a cafe with her mother in rural Illinois, said, this place needs a pie shop. And it had the trading post, which we went into, and they're like, we don't do pie, it's for sale. My mother saw the need and said I could fill that. And I was fortunate at that time, I could finance that. And I just wanted to take pictures. But I think everybody that comes through Pie Town feels that. They feel the connection to the past. It hasn't, like Jane said, it hasn't changed all that much. And it's hard to find those places. They're real. The people that are there are real. And the pie is real. So I think that's the thread. My mother was able to sew it back in. I picked it up where she left off. And people want a little piece of that Americana, a little piece of real. And we gave it to them through pie.
Lovely. And Jane, can you talk a little bit about transitioning that into through cinematography and through the art of film, making that town come alive on camera?
I never really thought that way. I really didn't. In fact, there were people that would come up, would mention to me something I should do or something I hadn't done, or thank you for doing this. That never occurred to me. For me, Kathy was the epicenter, and the pie shop, of course. I really enjoyed taking walks around the back roads and finding these. Oh my gosh, I still miss the old hotel. That to me, it was just magic. And I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer for decades. So of course that was appealing. Oddly, in this film, my photography didn't fit much into the cinematography. Kind of left that up to the camera person. I had opinions, but I concentrated more than anything on Kathy and in her energy and her story, because I still really wanted the base of it to be, love and apple pie. I mean, really, it sounds hokey, but that's what the story was about. But you couldn't go wrong. My gosh, I remember the guy flying a drone over the very large array extension guy, and we were so sure that camera was going to fall into the dish. It's like or photographing something or filming something and having somebody looking out the window and me realizing, oh my gosh, somebody lives here, or this is someone's property. So I was a little shy about that.
Now you bring up that opening with the drone going over the dishes, and what's interesting is the narration from Wes is it almost makes it sound like it's going into a completely different documentary.
Exactly.
And you're just like, I remember I watched it again today, and I was just listening to it in the background, and I thought we were starting off on a whole different journey. And then that song kicks in. Can you talk a little bit about that artistic choice?
Yes, well, I did want to talk about Pie Town being close to the very large array, and that was completely intentional. I wanted people to go, wait a minute, did you just turn on PBS? And then bang. Now I had asked a friend of mine, or maybe she offered, Jamie Sue Seal and her music partner, John Latini. And I said, here's this, I need a theme song. And she said, well, tell me about Pie Town. And I told her some stuff. And they sent me that song. That's like, does that ever happen? I mean, I remember bawling. It's like, this is exactly what I want. And it was a complete departure from the PBS story about a very large array, and suddenly goes into this down home, pie loving, very clever lyrics, great music. It did win. The film won a lot of awards at film festivals, and one of them was best theme song. So that was just a delight, but that was very intentional, Mickey. That was, I wanted it to be a little bit of I like it when people are a little confused by what I do.
And I will say it's a wonderful song. I found myself dancing to it today when I was getting ready for this Q&A. It's hard not to. It's going to be stuck in my head for my drive later on.
It's a great earworm to have.
Yeah. And Kathy, for you, being a part of this community and making these pies, can you walk us a little through a typical day for you when you wake up and go to bake pies, and how many pies you make a day and everything?
Well, that was in the real world.
Yes.
In the real world, we used to get up early and a lot of coffee. I remember Jane would come and say, I'm going to need you like sunrise for the right light. And I'd be like, oh, I don't think so. I mean, like that
was the only time she got cranky.
Priorities in my world, and it's not being in front of a camera at 7:30, but we worked together. We worked that out. I'd go in and get everything ready. Most of my prep was done the night before, and I had a couple good helpers at the end. There's no way I could do all those pies anymore. We had 4 people total, Stanley, my partner, and another pie baker, and a cleaner helper. And we just all made pies. And so a lot of my prep would be done the night before to roll out the dough, freeze it, get the apples cut, the cherries and everything ready. come in the morning and it'd be like, next, everybody start making pie, cherries, apples, blueberries, you know, green chilies, peaches. And I'm telling you, we started shoving pies in ovens. And by the time we opened, the smell, people would walk in and say, we smell pie before we got out of the car. And it was intoxicating, the butter, the chocolate, the vanilla. And we would just keep pumping pies in the ovens until about noonish. And then if we thought we needed more, we'd whip some more together from the freezer stock. You know, we always had extra pie crust in the freezers for unexpected Greyhound buses, but we baked and baked. And in the meantime, I would run out and visit. Who are you? Where are you from? Sign my guest book. People told me, you know how you sit on an airplane and a stranger tells you intimate details?
Yeah.
I have books full of them. And someday they'll be a book. But the world came to Pie Town. I had been a world traveler in a previous life. And now I was like the hub, and all the spokes came in, and it was fascinating. People come from all around the world, and they would find the Southwest of America for different reasons, you know, the Grand Canyon, LA, you know, the VLA, and they go, pie? We can get pie? And it was always like, don't you have somewhere to go? And they'd be like, whoa, we got to get to Phoenix. They would stay and meet other people and talk about the road conditions and is there going to be snow on the divide? And it was like something out of the past, like Aunt B was in the kitchen. And I was grateful to have really good help so I could run back and forth and absorb some of that wonderful humanity. People are good. They really are. You forget, you watch the news, you get really, really scared. And then you talk to real people and you're full again of hope. And so I would go out and get my dose of people and go back and help with the pies. And then we would clean up the mess, go home, sleep, and get up and do it again. Towards the end, I started cutting back my days and hours. There were 2 other shops that opened and I didn't have to be there. And we needed more time off to recuperate because it was busy. It was fun, but boy, it could eat your lunch.
And Jane, I want to talk a little bit about you. You have a number of subjects that are in the film themselves, and talking about the pies and talking about Kathy. And I'm sure you've probably filmed even more than that made the film. Can you talk a little bit about the process of having to go through and remove and choose which ones help tell the story the best for you?
Yes, well, you preferably want someone who can speak. And there were times when someone would say, yeah, I want to talk. And then you get the camera rolling and one or two things would happen. They'd either go, yes, Cherry, no, or the other, and then it's like, ah, you know, so those are off, you know, those are off. Not included in the film. We did film a lot of people. And as I think with any film, certainly with the documentary, you get a lot of great footage. Just because it's not in the film doesn't mean it's not great footage. You have to fill X amount of time. In this case, it was going to be a short. You know, do you do a short, which is less than 30 minutes, or do you go up to 50 minutes? If I went to 50 minutes, it would have been too long. You know, I think a lot of films are just too long in general. So I was very conscious of that and chose the short, you know, the 29 minutes, I think, and maybe 59 seconds. I don't know. But it was in some cases very difficult to make choices. In other cases, it was really easy.
Now, on the topic of pies, I would actually like to know from you, Jane, what's your favorite pie that Kathy makes?
Hey, Jim Hoffmaster, are you listening? Cherry.
Okay.
I'm from Michigan. Cherry.
Cherry pie girl.
I know. We go. Jim and I go to House of Pies in LA, and you know, I mean, there's just all these wonderful pies, and there they all are, and it's a cherry.
And Kathy, for you, what's your favorite pie to make out of all the years out of the 25 years of making pies?
To make?
I think I know, and then I don't know because something piques my curiosity. I tried something different yesterday. called a Marlboro, not like the cigarette, like the town in England. And it was really yummy, really different, really yummy. I could get used to that, but probably a favorite pie to make, maybe the peach red chili. It's pretty simple, fresh peaches, fresh red chilies, like not hot, smoky, flavorful. And you put a peach in, you put a chili in, you eat a peach, you eat a chili, you put a peach in. And the combination of the sweet, cool, and the warm spice, it makes you happy. Every pie has a personality, and maybe making a chocolate cream and you pour all that dark chocolate into the pie crust, and then you put all the meringue on, and then you put the chocolate shavings on, and then you're like, put it in my face. They're all so yummy, but I might go with a peach red chili.
Okay. And Kathy, you meet a lot of people by working and owning this, the Pioneer. And I'm wondering, is there one person that stands out to you that you just always enjoy? They come through multiple times and you just got to know them and they became family to you.
Oh, so many. That's been the hardest part of not being there, is people would walk through the door and I would just go, they're from all over. They're from other countries, and yet they make the Southwest part of their journey, part of their trips, part of their family. And they walk in and you're just like back like you were a year ago when they came last year. I had a lot of twice a years. And they come in the kitchen, and the health department would not like that, but we would keep it clean. And I would these were friends. These were no longer customers. These were friends. And who would be one? I would make a lot of other people very unhappy because they're all number one.
Yeah, don't say names.
You know what? It just, every day was like, who's going to walk in today that I don't expect or haven't seen in a while? And I'm telling you, it was like a revolving door of characters. My partner Stanley says we provide the play, the stage, and the cast of characters comes in and makes it alive. They perform for our pleasure. And people, A, they like the pie. B, it was a beautiful drive to get off the interstate. And as I started closing more, they would actually start showing up on the only 2 or 3 days I was open. And that was by design.
Oh, that's very sweet. And I want to know a little bit, we talked a little bit beforehand before this got started, and I wanted to touch on this. We talked about how this film is so uplifting and it's something that we need now more than ever. And I want to know, what do you think it is about the film that makes it that uplifting film that families enjoy watching together? It almost makes it its own classic film. And it's a movie about a town and about pie. And I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Which one of us?
Either one. You can start, Jane, and then we'll.
Yeah, I just think that pie represents our comfort, memories for most of us, or many of us, of being loved. And maybe it wasn't pie, maybe it was cake, and maybe it wasn't cake, maybe it was peanut brittle. I don't know, maybe it was quinoa, I don't know. But I think that it just represents a time that's seemingly long gone. And it makes people, I've had very young kids, somebody said to me once, oh, this is a film for older people. I have kids in their 20s and 30s say, my grandma used to make, whatever. It really does tap into a childhood, a happy childhood, hopefully, or even if you didn't have a happy childhood, a moment when it was happy because you had a slice of pie or cake or whatever. Yeah,
I love
Kathy.
that.
Pie is it's a connective tissue. Most everybody, and I didn't know this till I started making pie, most everybody has a favorite childhood memory of an aunt, mother, grandfather, uncle, someone who made them a pie. And it was, it was something that they remember fondly. And nostalgia is a huge part of why the film is so popular. When we did the film festival circuit in Santa Barbara, it was so much fun. Yeah, that red carpet with Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
We had total strangers come up to us, chase us out, and say, "Wait, you have to hear this story of my first pie and the disaster pie." And everyone had a story, and that's what pie does. It connects people and their past or their present. But it's a fun thing. I read a little meditation this morning that said, spirit is the food and drink of the universe. And I think it is the spirit of the pie that it's safe. We can all embrace it. We can all share a story or a piece.
I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it made me feel good when I read that this morning. I went, I'm using that.
Yeah. And
I
it's
don't know who wrote it, but I like it.
and it's quite touching that it happened the morning that you're gonna do this talk with us. So I'm so thankful for that.
Yes.
And I right now in closing, I want to actually go around and just Jane, what are you currently up to? What's going on with?
Well, after my experience with Kathy, I swore I'd never do another documentary, but guess who's doing another documentary? And it's bigger. It's a feature-length film, and it's called Acting Like Nothing Is Wrong, and you can go to the website actinglikenothing.com, and it's about character actor Jim Hoffmaster. And just before his first birthday, his mother gave him away because she thought he was defective. And although he had some good foster care experiences, in general, he did not. He was abused physically, psychologically, emotionally, and it was a very tough time. It was traumatic, but the film is really uplifting, and it talks about how he moves through the world with these issues and what are his survival skills. And some of them are dark and some of them are bright. What I love about the film is that in the end, it's really uplifting, that despite a couple, things that might make you grimace, you really do walk away feeling good and hopeful. And I'm not going to say, because they're both, I can't say I like Kathy better than Jim or Jim better than Kathy, but they have both become really and truly the most intimate, special, lifelong friends. And that to me is the biggest gift. I mean, I want this film to get out. I can't wait for it to get out. Jim can't wait for it to get out. But the friendships that are forged when you work this closely with people's stories is unsurpassed. I will write a book.
Well, I look forward to seeing that film. And Kathy, 25 years, pioneer, and unfortunately, you were left to have to close the doors back in June. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're up to and what your plans are for the future now that Pioneers is shut down?
Like everyone else, it got untenable to keep the lights on. And a lot of tears were shed, decisions were made. We're going to have to pull the plug. We don't know when we're going to go back, if we ever go back. Stanley and I were always thinking of retiring to his business in the ghost town of Mogollon, New Mexico someday. He has a beautiful bed and breakfast there. And we just didn't think it'd be today. We didn't think it'd be now. And like everyone else, we were punting. We were going, well, okay, when we can reopen, that would be our next great thing. And I have a great trust in the universe that the next pie people are on their way. I've been in discussions with some families, and I'm just, come on. But, my mother and my daughter and I, we did something special, and Jane made it a legacy for everyone to believe in a dream. And so I believe that our dreams are still being made, and someone will go into the Pioneer and take it up to the next notch. And I'm going to be so excited to go in and get a piece of pie I didn't make. And then I will be a pie lady at another place with probably pie baking classes. So we're looking at glass half full.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I fell in love with her.
Yeah.
And her.
I
And
love
Santa
it.
Barbara. Who
Oh
wouldn't
my
fall in
God.
love with Santa Barbara?
Oh, did we fall in love with Santa Barbara?
Well, hopefully we can get you both back here after all this COVID stuff is over with. We'll welcome you back with
That would-
open
I'll bring
arms.
pie.
Yeah.
And I would love that. And I want to thank you both so much for joining us today. And I want to wish you both a very happy Thanksgiving. I truly appreciate you for making the time for us today.
Thank you, Mickey. This
Thank
was
you,
way
Mickey.
too much fun. And, I love you, Kathy. I appreciate you and Santa Barbara and the film festival circuit so much. I really hope I can revisit it at some point.
I hope so too.
Stanley says hi.
And Stanley.
Hi, Stanley.
Hi, Hey.
Now go make a pie, Mickey.
All right, I will.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.